Oh, hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of First Canada Live. It is our season finale. That's right. We are at the culmination. The season is over. We just had a very successful first championship. We're going to be celebrating all the things that happened there. I am your host, Karthik of Apathy. Tonight is going to be a fabulous show. So let's get things started and let's do it the right way. As Canadians, it is important to recognize the land of which we are a part. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we celebrate today. We acknowledge the elders and youth, past, present, and emerging, of all the land on which we work and live. We honor the ancestral spirits with gratitude and respect. We also acknowledge this land out of respect for the indigenous nations who have cared for Turtle Island, also called North America. The indigenous peoples have been gifted the role of caretakers of this land before the arrival of settler peoples until today. But most importantly, we must remember the history of these lands and people that have been tainted by poor treatment and a lack of friendship with the First Nations who called Canada home before it was given this name. This history is something that everyone is affected by. We are all treaty people in Canada. We all have a shared history to reflect on, and each of us is affected by this history in different ways. Our past defines our present, but if we move forward as friends and allies, it does not define our future. All right, folks, I'd now like to welcome our co-hosts for today's show. They've done this before. They're back again, rocking that Youth Council cowboy hat from Team 4343. It's Achilles. Achilles, how's it going?
Great, Karthik. It's the end of the season. This was a great one. Really fun game. And I'm looking forward to recapping everything and maybe talking about a little bit about next year as well.
Yeah, and Achilles, I want to ask that question because you're a grade 12 student, right?
Yes, I am.
So the end of the season is different for grade 12s than I think for anyone else. Because like on one hand, it's like it's this cool celebration of great things, but it also like it feels like it's coming to an end. So how are you and your grade 12 friends feeling about the end of the season?
It's been a lot. I haven't fully registered that I'm not coming back as a student next year. Um, but it's going to be really exciting to see how everything changes from grade 12 as I become an alumni and potentially a mentor for um, my team.
Yeah, and the word of advice that I have for all the students out there, and I don't know if I can put it into one word of advice. There's a lot of different things to be said, but number one is that first isn't going away. First is always going to be here. There's so many opportunities to whether it be as a mentor, as a volunteer, but also if you want to just take some time to be a university student or a college student, like it's university and college is like the coolest portion of your life in that it's uncharted waters, like all everyone's lives we've been put in little boxes since kindergarten. People expect us to be a certain way, but you get to go possibly somewhere with new people and be whoever you want. And so you could explore different things, try out other hobbies, like join the student newspaper or a choir or the Formula SAE team or something like that. And first will still be here. So there'll be opportunities. Like a lot of people was, but I did like 4 or 5 years away from first when I was in university. I just was like, I just got to do other things, and it was still here when I came back, which was pretty cool. So, anyways, that's just a thing. Achilles, you hit on it. What we're talking about today is recap of the first championship. And
Yes.
we've got a bunch of
Yeah.
teams here. We got 7 teams across 3 provinces, 2 programs talking about the cool things that happened. But before we get to any of that, it is time to discuss a little bit of wellness and how we can take care of ourselves. Because, I know the end of year is coming up. There's a lot of stress with universities and exams and proms. So, Achilles, how are you keeping yourself well right about now?
I really like art in general. Especially for me, I really enjoy drawing, and that's a really good way for me to de-stress. But art, there are so many different ways that you can um, create something, whether it be a painting or a craft, and it just feels really fulfilling, and it's a nice way to de-stress and do something.
Okay. Achilles, you should know better because I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Do you have any of your art that you can show us? You got anything handy?
Um, I don't, but
Okay, okay. Well, we
maybe
got a bunch of
later.
segments, so we got like a bunch of like 20
Yes,
second breaks. So it gives you time to try and go find something or whatever.
yes,
One
yeah,
time on the show, we had someone who mentioned like playing guitar. I'm like, can you like play us a song? And they grabbed the guitar off the wall or whatever. So, we got to see what comes on there.
yeah, sure.
I don't have any of my art around, but it's not really the greatest right there. But I think it's a good thing. It's just like I don't know, like we have so many things that we have to do, and it can just be stressful going through all of them. Sometimes it's just nice to do something that you want to do. And that
Exactly.
sort of break really, really matters. Like even like because like when you get, it's like, okay, like I finished all my schoolwork or whatever, and I finished all my robot work. Then it's like, oh, I gotta go catch up on laundry, or I gotta do this, you gotta do this. But sometimes it's just nice to do something that you just want to do. And so
Exactly.
making time for that is really important. All right, folks, time for our news updates. Our show schedule. Well, I don't really have much of a show schedule because this is the season finale, folks. This is the last one of the season, but we will be back in the fall sometime, probably early September for season 6 of First Canada Live, which will be exciting. Other things that'll be going on the First Canada Twitch channel is we'll be having the STEMathon in about 3 weeks there. So, folks, if you want to sign up for that, still looking for people to come for a 24-hour expedition where you solve a really tough problem in 24 hours with your teammates and have some fun. Achilles, you've been a part of the STEMathon before, right?
I was last year, and it was a really, really fun experience. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
If you've got to convince the whole audience on why they should sign up for the STEMathon, why should they do it, Achilles?
Oh, the mentors are amazing. It's so cool, the people that you get to work with and
Yeah.
being put into a group of either random people or people that you choose. It's just such a great way to meet all these uh new people and brainstorm like brand new ideas. Um, Also you learn a lot of things, like having to plan something in 24 hours.
It,
That
it'll
was
make
fun.
Achilles, did you have the rocket scientist from NASA as your mentor last year?
I did.
You
That
got
was so
Jenna
cool.
K. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Jenna.
She is the coolest. She was back this year, so some lucky team of 4 or 5 students will have our friendly NASA rocket scientist there from Team 118. So that'll be pretty cool. But there's a lot of great mentors that you get to work with, people who are doing cool stuff. Some who worked on autonomous vehicles, some who work on GUI design, software developers. So very, very cool. Make sure you check out the STEMathon. Folks, if you want to catch up on First Canada Live, obviously you can be watching live. You can watch on our YouTube channel, but we are a podcast. So all the episodes from this season are up on Spotify. So take a look, take a download, take a listen. You're going for a run. Tune in to First Canada Live. That'll be pretty cool. Also, folks, I know it's the end of the season, but you have questions about anything to do with First Robotics Competition, First Tech Challenge, join the Ontario Team Slack group. It is a great place for support. It's a great place. Right now you might be saying like, oh, how did that team do that autonomous mode? It was so good, and they were detecting the notes or whatever. Ask in the Slack channel. There are people to help with your code, with your robots as you get ready for off-season events. Good things there. So make sure you take a look. That link is in chat right now. And folks, if you are an alum or you are a grade 12 student who is becoming an alumni, I urge you all to get connected with us. Head on over to First Robotics Canada /alumni to sign up for the alumni mailing list where you can be a part of special offers. You can join the LinkedIn group, which is probably the best place you can go. If you next year are looking for a co-op job and you're having trouble finding something, post in there. There are people who are always just like, oh, I wish I could find first students to hire. And it's a great, great thing. So really recommend it. Achilles, have you gotten signed up in all the alumni stuff yet?
Haven't yet, but I'll have to right after this.
Come on, Achilles. Get with the program
I
here.
know, I know,
Like we even gave you an alumni lanyard at the alumni
I
social, and like the
know,
deal was you were supposed to sign up. Come on here.
I
You know,
know. I'm sorry.
we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. So Achilles,
Yes.
the hat. How did the hat work out for you? This youth council cowboy hat, cow person hat.
I loved the hat. The hat was
Yes.
probably my favorite piece of merch, and it's one of my favorite things I own. Um, and it also lights up.
There you
I
go.
will.
Oh yeah, there
I
we
know. Oh
go.
yeah.
Oh, lights
Hmm.
are so good. Those so so good.
Yes.
I think all of you next year, like the ones of you who are graduating, should like take the hats to your dorms and like hang them up and just like leave them in a
Oh
spot
yeah.
right there.
Definitely.
It's
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 coming
a
with
it's a
me.
it's a good one right there. All right, folks, we're gonna be back talking about the first championship, specifically the FRC portion of it. We'll be doing that in just a moment after a word from one of our sponsors, Honda. All right, folks, we are back as my camera is taking longer to turn on today. What are you doing, camera? I know it's the last episode of the season, but you still got a job to do here. Come on, right? We're talking about the first championship. Specifically, we're talking about the first robotics competition. So all season long, we have been recapping the events that have happened, and we looked through some interesting stats. And Ontario once again put on a show. There were two Ontario teams on Einstein. So let's take a look at some of the data behind some things there. And some interesting trends emerged at the championship, which were really, really cool. So here are the performances of the Ontario teams, and you can see two teams on so two teams were the number one seed in their division. There's only 8 divisions, and two of the number one seeds for Canadian teams, 2056 and 2200. I think that was really, really massive. 1325 and 3683 ended up as alliance captains, while 1114, 49, 46, 5406 were all in the range. When it came to the picks, we talked about the alliance captains there. We also had 3 teams that were picked in the first round, 3683, 1114, 4476. And we had a few others, second round picks, third picks. And then the finishes, like I said, we had 3 Canadian teams on Einstein, not 2 Canadian teams on Einstein, sorry, 3 Canadian teams on Einstein, 2056, 4476, and 7558. So it's been a bit since we've had some Canadian teams out there on Einstein. Nice to be back where we should be, which was really nice to see. 5024 was division finalists in their division, and then third place, 1114 was third in their division, 4946 was third in their division. So some great performances from the teams. Now let's take a look at a deeper dive into the data. And let me get my pen out here. Okay, folks. Come on, pen. There we go. So remember all season long, we talked, 2056, fabulous, just amazing. But the gap shrunk a little bit. The snowman's belly is a little bit smaller now. It's starting to melt because so many Ontario teams had great performances at the championship. 3683, 2200, we talked about 1325 is the 5, 4476 on Einstein. 1114, folks. They started the season not so great. They had a match at championship where they scored 30 notes. It was wild to see that one
It's
happen. I don't
insane.
think anyone who saw them in Newmarket would have thought that one was possible, but it was just like the teams just didn't quit. It's just like, let's try and get better. And like Achilles, you've been on a team for many years now.
Yeah.
Some people talk about, oh, like our robot is done, but in FRC, it's not really like that. You're always working to improve,
Oh,
right?
never done. It's like between every single competition, even at comp, between every single match, even things are always being done in order to improve the bot, um, and to make it just work that much better.
Yeah, and I was very impressed by the perseverance of our teams who continue to improve. One thing that was really interesting watching was at provincial championship. Teams who were eliminated early didn't just pack up their stuff and leave. They kept working on their robot. They used it as extra time. Like, okay, let's just keep working. Let's get, testing things and trying things out. And that's the kind of spirit. That's how you get to Einstein, by just continually improving and adding new tricks. I saw so many Ontario teams really pivot to becoming passers, which I thought was really impressive. And so it was cool to see that sort of transition there. I think it was really impressive. Um, Achilles, it was a great season for the teams on the field, but it was also a great season off the field. And I was wondering if there was like one moment of gracious professionalism that you saw that really kind of stood out in your mind. Could be
Um,
anywhere at any time.
I'm going to reiterate what I said a few weeks back, but in the media box, there's always such great, gracious professionalism. Whether you're on the opposing alliance or not, you're always talking with everyone, everyone's media um, members, and just meeting new people. It's where I made a lot of great friends as someone on media as well. So it's just always great to see the gracious professionalism there.
Yeah, that's neat because there's all these little places where these sort of interactions happen. Like the media box is one of them, where it's just like, you have like 6 different folks who are photographers or video people, and then they're just chatting away, while the queuing line, I think, is where it's like some of the coolest conversations happen. I think that's really nice to see. Um, One moment of gracious professionals that I saw at the championship, which I was really impressed by, we have them coming on later on today, Team 2056. And they made it to Einstein with 75-58 and 987 and 1577. Great alliance, just fabulous job there. And then they got eliminated on Einstein. And that's hard when you're eliminated or whatever. But then like the match right after, the Waffles played, another Canadian team. The Waffles had a big win on Einstein. And then just seeing 2056 being so happy for the Waffles. It's almost like they forgot that they just lost. It was just supporting another team. And that's the kind of that's what we need in our community, where yeah, pretty much everyone loses at these events, but to still be able to celebrate the accomplishments of others. And I think that is a huge part of gracious professionalism. It was a huge part of ethical competition and competing the right way. And I saw so much of that at championship, of teams supporting other teams and being there. And it was I don't know, it was just nice to see. Like things you see happen all the time, but when you see them happen again, I don't know, I don't know, that one really made me smile.
Yeah.
It was a cool one. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little bit more when 2056 comes on. Achilles, what was your like highlight of the season?
Um, Personally for me, I think my highlight of the season was more of the award side of everything, but winning engineering inspiration again at Newmarket was a really, really big thing for me. I was very proud of our team. It was an amazing accomplishment to win that 2 years in a row. Um, and it was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in Houston there was just so many like memorable moments, and obviously the teams, but there was just like a lot of fun stuff that happened. Okay, let me just tell you a story of this what happened in Houston. Okay, so I was had the fortune of being there with the Robo Sports Network doing First Champs Live, doing commentary on the A fields or whatever, and so we're getting ready for a match, and it's a big one. It was 254 Cheesy Poof's first match, and like I told the story on the air, I'll tell it again for folks who weren't watching. Before that match, a kid shows up with a golden staff, and on that golden staff is a golden skull. And he kind of just like stomps it right there. It's like right in our lines of sight. I was like, what is going on? And then that match, you know what happened, Achilles? 254's
Wow.
Ethernet cable fell out and they died. And we're like, what? Okay, this is a little bit freaky. The
Yeah.
kid comes back for another match, puts the staff down, and in that next match, another team dies. And we're like, oh my goodness, he's putting a hex on people. Like, what is going
My
on?
God.
Comes back again, and I'm like, oh no, I'm ready for this. What's going to happen?
Mhm.
What's going to happen? And I'm like, no, 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 no. Next thing you know, a note comes flying over the field and hits me in the back of the head. It's the voodoo curse, voodoo curse.
Oh
And
my
so then
God.
we start talking about it on air. I'm telling this
Yeah.
story. And as I'm telling the story, another note comes whizzing at my head. And so it was just like, okay, can't
Okay.
mess around. Can't mess around.
Yeah.
These curses are real, So these things happen. But like, it's just like that's championship. There's just
Yeah.
jokes and there's fun stuff. There was a team who had a blocker on their robot, and they put a picture of Shaq, the basketball player from the 90s, and it was just like, yeah, Shaq's gonna block your shot, stuff. So
Yeah.
it was
That's
a good time. So, folks, we're here to talk about the fun stuff that happened at Championship, and we're going to be doing more of that with our FTC World Finalists in just a moment. But before we do that, let's take a look at a word from one of our sponsors, Enbridge.
Manufacturing is the cornerstone of our economy. However, it is one of the largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. There are a multitude of solutions, including energy efficiency, low carbon technologies such as renewable natural gas, geothermal, and hydrogen, and they all play a part in the transition towards a clean energy future.
A specific example of how Enbridge is leading the energy transition is leveraging our storage assets where we've been safely storing natural gas for 75 years, and to now look at those same assets to store new things such as hydrogen.
There are areas that you just can't electrify efficiently. So for instance, the making of steel, where they use gas or coal as part of the process itself. You have to use something that's to replace those elements, and hydrogen fits the bill.
It's just beginning. We're starting to scale up pilot projects and demonstration projects to utility scale size and implement real change.
All right, folks, we're back. Just an update from the world of hockey. Leafs are up 1-0 over Boston. McCabe from Marner and Domi, big time right there. I know they're down 3-1 in the series, but it's been done before, and the Leafs can do it. And I'm just saying right now. Okay, gotta believe, folks. All right, time to bring out our next guest. This is Team 19836, Hawk from Richmond Hill, Ontario, who were the first Tech Challenge, not division finalists, World Championship finalists. So come on, Hawk. We've got Alan, Gavin, and Lucy here. Hey, congratulations, team.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, first off, tell us a little bit about the journey in Houston and how you became the FTC World Champion finalists.
Right. So overall, the journey was very memorable and very enjoyable. And so one thing about FTC is that, your alliance, it's all about your alliance's performance, not just your own team's performance. So, and these alliances are chosen by random. So your random teammates and your random opponents actually have a huge impact on how you perform in the qualifiers. And as a result, that has a domino effect on who chooses you for alliance selection, right? And so we had a couple of hiccups. One round, our odometry cable actually fell off. We quickly reconnected it, but we reconnected it into the wrong port. And so that caused our auton to fail, which cost us the match. And all
And
of
for
that,
just for the audience, Alan, like Hawk had one of the best autos in the world. It was not many teams, like 3, 4 teams at Worlds could have an auto that was comparable to yours, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was quite consistent. And so one match, it just completely failed. So that cost us the match. And so all of that is to say that when alliance selection rolled around, we were actually placed relatively lowly, 27th. And so another thing about FTC is a lot of it is scouting other teams, analyzing their performance, as well as trying to market your team to stronger teams, say, hey, we want to form an alliance with you for the finals, not just the qualifiers. And so we made really good connections with teams like RO2D2 and RoboKings. So eventually we formed an alliance and we performed quite well. We came finalists in the overall event and we worked together really well as an alliance, and we all came together, put our best effort in, and as well as our opponents, TechSpan, AI Citizens, and the Clueless, they also put up a really good fight, and eventually the best team won. But overall, it was great.
Yeah, and so for Alan, Gavin, and Lucy, for our audience, I think we got a lot of people who do FRC, but for those who don't, so how many qualification matches did you get in FTC?
So our team, we got roughly 10.
10
So that's
qualification
around,
matches. So
yeah.
that's more than a normal tournament or whatever, but still a couple unlucky matches can really throw things off.
Yeah.
And then now one thing that's different is that it's not 8 alliances, it's 4 alliances, right?
Yeah.
From each
Oh, no,
division.
sorry. Oh, yeah. For the finals, yes, 4 alliances. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's tight to get in there or whatever. So it's just making the playoffs is an accomplishment. And also your alliance selection happened on Friday evening, right?
Yeah.
So did you and your alliance partners get together Friday night and start planning things out?
Yeah, we actually approach R2D2 often throughout the entire competition, basically just talking to them, not just about FTC, but I remember talking to one of the scouts about like the Romanian cuisine. I was trying to describe poutine to him, which he couldn't really wrap his head around. So that was interesting. And so we basically formed connections, not just as, FTC competitors, but actually like people and as friends. So that was great.
Well, I mean, like poutine is a little bit hard to wrap your head around. So I totally
Yeah.
get that. So what food did they teach you about from Romania?
They told me about like cabbage rolls with meat inside. I forgot the name, but it was something in Romanian.
Those are
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I mean, I prefer poutine. Poutine's so good. That one's for sure. Hey, Achilles, you got a question for Hawk?
Yes, I do. So how was the level of competition based on or different than what you've faced in Ontario?
I think I could answer that, or Lucy.
I think Lucy had a connection issue, so we lost Lucy. So it's just the two of you right now.
Okay, I could cover it for her. So basically, obviously, since this world is much bigger, there are many more teams compared to Ontario, and it's also a bit more competitive. It's also faster paced because you have way more qualification matches to play, right? Sometimes you're off one match and then you're immediately queuing up for the other. And so there were often, there were multiple strong teams there, like really strong teams, which we never really encountered that level of competition in Ontario. And obviously the Ontario teams are great, But there was a lot more strategizing because it was a longer event, so we had time to really sit down with our partners to kind of strategize as well as kind of scout the opponents and basically analyze their skill level and formulate plans and like defenses against them. So everything was a bit more strategic, I would say.
I think also it's interesting because like you had the world high score for a while up here, you and your other Dr. X team, ROC, and then that score got jumped by a couple teams in Romania. And it was really interesting to have you then end up pairing up with a Romanian team. Was it one of the teams that actually had that high score?
I think Gavin can answer this because he did a lot of scouting on these Romanian teams.
Yeah, so I don't remember the specifics, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't Road 2D2.
Okay,
It
okay.
was other Romanian teams.
The Romanian teams are so good. It's wild. They have this like group of like 6 or 8 of them that are just like next level. That's pretty neat. But your alliance was very international. We talked about the Romanian team, but also the Australian team. So what was that experience like having, 3 countries on 3 different continents together for one alliance?
You mean other than picking up a bit of an Australian accent and some Romanian phrases?
Okay, let me hear your Australian accent, Gavin.
Water.
Okay, that's actually I can't tell you if it's not bad or not. It sounds okay to me. Achilles, does it sound okay? I'm not actually Australian. What do I know?
Yeah, I think it sounds okay. I don't know
What about the
either,
Romanian
but
phrases? What do you got?
Well, I know Alianța Roșie is the Red Alliance.
Okay.
That's about all I picked up. So
Okay. I remember hearing about a team who had played with a team. I forget what country it was from. I actually forget, but they were like they set their GPS to the language of their countries just so they could learn left and right in the language. And I was like, that's a smart way of doing it. Whatever.
yeah.
But so what else? Tell me a little bit more about the International Alliance and like were there differences in style of play, style of scouting, style of strategy?
Yeah, so our exposure to different like regional competitions led to different teleop strategies, driver control strategies. With us being like more cohesive, and with our alliance partners, Road2D2 from Romania and Robo from Australia being more unrelenting and adventurous. So we had to balance our perspectives a little, but it was because of these aspects that resulted in the sheer amount of points that we put up and our synchronization with each other, as people who watched the live knew. So it was a matter of being divided by region and united by STEM.
That's actually a pretty cool way of putting it. Your autonomous modes in Ontario, because you were, when you were paired with our ROC, like obviously very complementary. Did you have time to adjust the auto mode so you could be complementary with your 2 partners?
Yeah. So we actually before Worlds we added a lot of different autons so that we could pair with anyone. So in
Right.
qualifiers, we only have a bit of time to tune our autons with our partner. So that played a major role.
And then did the game change much, like strategically? Like was there, was hanging more important or were the drones more important than they were earlier in the season?
So we were actually lucky in this. We're one of the only teams in the world that uses like a flywheel, so we have a more consistent drone. Um, the end game part is actually more important in Worlds, as we saw like the drones, even if you land a zone 1 and zone 2 difference, that's a 10-point difference already, which can play a major part in the final score. So other than obviously Auton and Teleop, end game became more important towards the end, and so we were lucky to have that on our side.
That's really neat because I know, like, thinking back to the provincial championship in Kingston, like the end game, there weren't a lot of drones being launched, and so neat. That's interesting right there. Akil, you got another question for the team?
yeah. So I wasn't able to make it to the World's Championship, but I would really like to hear what the energy and what the atmosphere was like for those final matches where you guys were in the finals of Worlds.
The crowd was absolutely deafening, and it gave us a package of emotions, um, like the thrill of reviving at the final stage, finally, and also a bit nervous, the anticipation for the ultimate result. But we did have the confidence that we gained throughout the season from every team that we partnered with and competed against.
Yeah, it just it's a scene up there, just with the lights and the entrance, and so the teams are just so passionate up in FTC land. Do you have any other, like moments of the championship that really stand out to you as like things that, people always talk about the championship being like this transformative experience, but like any moments that'll stick out to you that you'll be remembering?
Yeah. So obviously getting to the final stage, but there was one moment that appealed to me even more than that. So as Alan mentioned, we were placed quite low in qualifications. But due to our relationships with Romanian teams and Australian teams, like Road2D2 and RoboKings Aurum, they picked us as their second alliance, and we put up a performance that could match what the alliance brought. So we were really proud of that.
That's very, very cool. What about you, Alan? Any moments that stand out?
I guess like what's often overlooked is kind of the time you spend off of the competitions, like just walking around the pit
Yeah.
area and seeing like different stands, different booths, and you can hear like different teams talking to each other in their own languages. And it's kind of just like a collection of various cultures. And it's really like a new experience for me because this is my first year at Worlds. And it was nice interacting with people like that you wouldn't really often interact with because of cultural differences, just all coming together.
All right, and then I think we're going to be asking most people this question. This is a good one. Houston, known for its food. Best meal you had there. Best thing you had to eat.
It's a funny story actually. So we had an Uber and had the opportunity to meet a very nice Uber driver that recommended tons of places we could go to. So he basically planned our entire itinerary of foods from one car ride. So yeah, so we got Texas barbecue, Tex-Mex. We went to a lot of places after each day of competition. That was really cool.
Nice. The barbecue is great, and Tex-Mex. Oh my goodness, it's just like nothing compared to like the fake Tex-Mex we have here. So good. All right, folks. Well, thank you to Hawk. Congratulations on being FTC World Finalists. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. Alan, Gavin, are you in grade 11, grade 12, grade 10?
I'm in grade 10, and so is Gavin. We're both grade 10s.
So you got a lot more years. So hey, next year, let's
Yep.
do it. Let's get the gold. Let's bring the gold
Yep.
home, right?
Yep.
All
That's
right,
our
that's how
plan.
we
Try.
do.
Thank you,
All right,
John.
thank you to Dr. X, thank you to Hawk, thank you to Alan, Gavin, and sorry for Lucy for the connection issues. And we will be back, folks, in just a moment with our next group coming up. All right, folks, we are back and we are going to do another segment. So, at first is one individual award for students, and that is the Dean's List Award. And it is a very coveted award, and it is very hard to win. It is only, I think it's 10 folks per program who win the Dean's List Award. And this year, Canada actually had two Dean's List finalists, and it's been a couple years since we've had them, and they were both from Calgary. Just kind of a coincidence. So we're going to bring them out here. First robotics competition Dean's List winner from Team 4421 Forge from Calgary, Alberta. It's Max D. How's it going, Max?
Good, good. How are you?
I am fabulous. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. And our first Tech Challenge Dean's List winner from Team 21594 Pearson Odyssey from Calgary, Alberta. It's Quentin. And hey, Quentin.
Hey, how are you doing?
I am doing great. But first off, congratulations, folks. Dean's List. I don't know if you all realize it yet, but what a huge, huge honor this is. It's a very hard award to win. The Dean's List Award goes to effective student leaders in the FIRST community who are dedicated to the values and mission of FIRST. So I want to ask each of you, you want to tell us a little bit about your leadership from FIRST and any cool projects, initiatives that you've been involved in. So maybe we'll start with Max. Max.
Yeah, so since joining Burst and starting in FLL in grade 2, over the past 9 years, I've taken up multiple leadership roles in teams that I've been a part of. So I was the captain of my FTC team 10015 from 2019 to 2022, and currently I'm taking the role of pit lead and mechanical lead on team 4421. So basically, as a lead, what I ensure is successful communication between sub teams and making sure that a lot of the quieter students and rookies are engaging and listening and learning with basically getting involved with the team. Some cool projects that I've been a part of. I've been an advocate for FIRST, so recruiting friends and peers, and currently I'm promoting FIRST within the Calgary public education system. So I'm collaborating with high school principals from all across Calgary to organize FIRST robotics demos this year, this October at the ICT Fair, which is set to impact hundreds of high school students that are interested in STEM. I've also been active in promoting FIRST as well as ATAA, the organization I'm in with that does FRC, and in fundraising and outreach events. So things like Maker Fair, Beaker Head, and sponsor days, as well as fundraising corporate sponsors independently. Another like I might be going a bit too long, but
No,
another
no,
project
keep
that I'm
going,
working
Max.
on
I want to
is
hear. I want to hear all of this. I'm just like, holy, you're doing a lot. Okay, what
yeah.
else, Max?
So I'm also working with some teams in Manitoba, particularly 22689, which is a FTC team, and we're providing them with online support and resources to try and help revive FTC in sort of Manitoba as well as the other prairie provinces. Outside of FIRST, I'm very passionate about high school STEM research, particularly with UAVs and drones. And I've promoted FIRST as a sort of key reason for the success that I've achieved in there, like being selected to represent Team Canada to compete at ISEF. And I've promoted FIRST in national media opportunities that I've gotten in like Global News, CBC, CTV, and Youth Science Canada.
You guys. Oop. It's all good. It's all good. Someone's very excited about you, Max, just like I am. So, that is amazing, Max. That is just like a litany of so many things. Thank you for being such a great advocate for the program, and especially in the Calgary region, because there used to be an FRC regional there, and so that would be cool if we can get that back. Get some teams going. How much fun would that be, right?
Yeah, so actually, we as a team are working really hard to get the Canadian Rocky Mountain Regionals back. And
Yep.
this off season, we're starting actually because we've noticed some of the redundancies and sort of limitations of the regional systems, just like the qualification system, sort of the structure in Western Canada. And we've been collaborating with other teams across Canada that aren't in the Ontario region, sort of to write a report on the what we see as the benefits and harms that the proposed universal point system has for teams in Canada. Because like if you look in Western Canada, especially, there's just the 1 week one regional, which is the Canadian Pacific. And for a lot of like low resource, maybe not as much funding teams in British Columbia, especially, they essentially have just that 1 week, one competition, and then their season is over, right? So they're essentially missing another 5, 6 weeks of first, right? So we're working this off season to sort of look into some potential solutions.
Yeah, because I mean, like I always say that, and Achilles and I were talking about this at the start of the show. One of the coolest things is how teams improve throughout the season. And if you're only going to one event, it's hard to do that. So I think looking for creative solutions to ensure that it could be there's less barriers for our Western Canada teams to attend multiple events would be really, really positive. I think it'd be enhance everyone's experience. Quentin, what about you? What have you been up to? Tell us a little bit about your leadership within First.
So I've been a participant of FIRST programs for I think about 6 years now. Um, I was on Team Canada in 2019 for the first global challenge,
Oh,
and
very
I've been
cool.
in FTC for the past 6 years as well. And then this year I also did FRC as well. So personally, I really work to work as a student mentor for other people. I've noticed that a lot of the programs, if you don't have an active participant working to continue the program, you might have like a school program fall off because a teacher is no longer there to help along. So personally, in my school, I've worked to try and create some resources for my team so that they can work throughout the next couple of years after I have graduated. I also work with Indigenous communities within my area. Being personally Indigenous myself, it's a really important thing to me. So we work with another organization I am a part of called IndigiSteam to spread STEM and specifically FIRST Robotics to reserves because it's a very underrepresented community within Alberta and across Canada. There is not a lot of Indigenous youth actively participating in these programs. So we're working to start teams out on reserves as well as working as sort of mentors within our own team to help them as well.
That is so amazing. I'm just inspired by hearing both of you talk just about how much you're doing. And, it's just this is fantastic. We need both of you to apply for the First Canada Youth Council next year. I think
Exactly.
that's
Yes.
the thing. Achilles can tell you all about that one
Mhm.
there. But it's great to see. I mean, this award celebrates student leadership. And you know what's neat about First is that like anything is kind of possible if you kind of lead the way or whatever. And Max, you hit a really good point because, about trying to get the quieter students involved and such. Because sometimes I think this program really caters to those who can step out and feel comfortable to lead. But I think it's so important that y'all are trying to find ways to involve those who are looking for their way. Because that's what leadership's about, right? It's about getting others involved. Achilles, do you have a question for Max and Quentin?
I do. For Max, how did it feel winning Dean's List at the Canadian Pacific Regional?
Yeah, so at CanPac, over Friday and Saturday, sort of the entire event, the team was already in a really good mood. So we were doing well in qualifications. We made it to finals in the playoffs, and
So awesome.
just the Friday before, the mentor that supported me since grade two actually won the Woody Flowers finalist as well, and everyone on the team was really happy for him. And so actually during the sort of award ceremony, then I was more worried about the finals matches and the robot performance than the award itself. So when my name was announced for like as a Dean's List finalist, it was absolutely surreal because I didn't expect to be able to win like as our team to win both Woody Flowers finalists as well as a Dean's List finalist at the same event. And to me, I really felt like it's a representation of the amount of impact and excellence that our team has been able to accomplish within since 2012 and really underscores sort of yeah, just like how proud I am of the team. And yeah, it's a good
That's such a
experience.
that's such a cool story, and I love how your first instinct is to not just celebrate your own victory, but the victory of your mentor, because that's it's kind of a team sort of thing there. So Quentin, for you, you had the opportunity to attend the first championship in person, and so the Dean's List reception is like a pretty cool place. Over the years, there's been Will I Am has been there, Marshawn Lynch has been there. Tell us about what the Dean's List reception was like this year.
So yeah, it was like a huge conference hall with a whole bunch of people. It was just shocking to see how many people were there. There were speakers from MIT, WPI, Yale, and the US Air Force. So it was really cool to hear from them and how being a Dean's List recipient can help you in your future towards paths through university and things like that. Um, it was also cool to see Blair. He was actually the one talking through the ceremony, the MC for the ceremony. So that was really awesome to see him there as well. Um, and it was just a really cool thing, and being able to talk with other people who were also nominated for Dean's List and what impact they had in their community as well. It was just a great experience.
And then a question for the both of you. And I know you had different experience because Quentin, you were there in person, Max, you were at home. But like, what was it like when you found out you were Dean's List finalist? Max, like, how did you find out?
Yeah, so this is kind of a funny story. I was actually at home. I was working on a sort of research project, and I was so focused on it, I didn't really notice the time that the ceremony was coming up until my friend Josh from Team 2702 out of Waterloo, actually, and a fellow Dean's List finalist this year, he messaged me. He was like, "You got to come watch this ceremony." And so I quickly switched on the live stream, and I never expected that my name would be announced there, and it was really shocking and unbelievable. And my parents were right there with me, and it was really an overwhelming experience. I felt very emotional for all of us, especially since my sister was also involved in first, and we immediately video called her to share the news with her. And it brought back so many memories of the past years that I've had with first, starting with FLL, then moving to FTC, and finally FRC now. And like thinking back to the exciting moments, like every hectic building season, every community engagement event that we went to, it was really inspiring. And especially, I think what's crucial is the very beginnings, right? So building robots at my mentor Dave's house in like grade three, grade two, my dad would drive me there every week, right? And I really, after I calmed down after they announced my name, I called Dave immediately, and I was really grateful for both him and his wife, Nadine, and they've been helping first like FTC, FRC teams for 20 years now, and they've devoted almost all their spare time to mentoring students, supporting teams, and using all the resources that they had. And in recent years as well, I've really noticed how these great mentors have contributed. So, like mentors on my team, Lou, Patrick, Edgar, Rob, and Shelley, they've been volunteering for so many years, and they're always there to support the students. They're always there to support First, and what they've been doing is truly significant and life-changing for so many students that have been in like first programs, and especially students like me.
That's fabulous, Max. And Quentin, what about you? What was it like when you found out?
It was kind of a surreal experience, and I actually like couldn't really process the moment very well. I was just completely shocked, because the FTC people are announced first, and there was like 7 other people before me. So it was just crazy to hear my name called and being able to then go high five Dean Kamen and Blair as well, and all the people who were there, and then being able to talk with the other recipients and how they were all kind of in the same situation, being completely shocked. And honestly, I was just really personally happy to have this recognized, because I know the award is more than just for myself. It's for all the people that have helped me up until this point, my mentors and the other members of my team as well, my teammates. So just being able to be recognized for that at the championship event was absolutely crazy.
Well, hey, you two, it's very obvious why you won this award. You two both demonstrate you're like just embodied gracious professionalism in all your responses. So I look forward to what you're going to accomplish next. I'm really excited to see how you're gonna, help First in Calgary, Alberta, and well beyond. So congratulations again to Max and Quentin. Hey, enjoy your trip to New Hampshire at Dean's house. It's wait till you get there. It's so cool. And enjoy that lobster dinner they're gonna have for you. It's gonna be an experience for sure. All right, folks, we are gonna be back in a moment with our next team, 3990, in just a little bit. All right, folks, we are back, and now we're going to switch things up and we're going to go into the world of the first robotics competition. And we want to welcome Team 3990 Tech for Kids from Montreal, Quebec, who were the first robotic competition Impact Award finalists. So, the Impact Award, folks, if you are not aware, is the most prestigious award in all of FIRST. And only 6 teams across the globe get to call themselves finalists at the end of the year. And for the second straight year, we had a team from Canada who earned that honor. It's Team 3990 Tech for Kids. So I want to welcome Jian, Angie, and Kim. Welcome to the show, folks.
Hello.
Hi.
Good evening.
Thank you for being here. And so, I mean, I want to know, so many teams do so much, but tell us a little bit about your efforts to win this award.
Yeah, so obviously a lot of teams that they had submitted for the Impact Award. And for us, we had, being a team from Canada and especially from Quebec, we definitely in our community, we had a very specific needs in our community. And that's why we try to aim our projects as much as possible to fit those needs. Because a team from Quebec doesn't have it doesn't live in the same community as a team from Alberta or Arizona or etc. So like, for example, for us, it was really, really important to be leaders in our local FRC community. So that's why, for example, this year we actually hosted Quebec's FRC regional because First was lacking an adequate venue to host it. So we said, hey, we have school gyms here at our school, and let's have the competition here. And we provided student volunteers and all of those stuff. So it's really for us to really assess and then the needs of our community and to help as much as possible across all of our projects.
That is fantastic. Anything you want to add, Angie and Kim?
Oh, yes, I would also like to say we recognize that a lot of teams make a lot of efforts, but what we wanted to do was really differentiate from the rest of the teams and really try to bring something new to the table by not only hosting competitions but also maybe bringing in.
Sorry?
Yes, so we're trying to do a project that recognizes robotics as a sport all throughout Quebec to not only promote robotics but also initiate more teams to be part of First and also sustain the teams that we currently have here in Quebec.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So really, especially with this projects that is still in the works, we have contacted our local political figures. We have support from our local First Quebec and from First the whole organization in general. And it's really heartwarming for us to see that the entire global First community is coming around in support of this project, which we believe is really important, and will have access to scholarships, to new venues, to resources for starting and sustaining new teams within First. It's really an initiative that we're looking to start in Quebec, and eventually it's a first time someone's doing it in Canada, and eventually maybe elsewhere it'll be implemented too. And that's what we're really trying to hope for too.
That's fabulous. Hey, Achilles, you got a question for the team?
I do. So being a First Impact Award finalist is incredible. Did you guys have any idea that you'd earn this honor?
Well, me personally, I didn't think we were gonna even like get nominated or anything because I would never thought that we would have been presenting an impact, and just the fact that they like we waited until the last team because we were the last team that got announced.
Yes.
And it was just
It was nerve-wracking.
It was nerve-wracking. We're like, oh my God. And then when they said us, we were just overjoyed, screaming. It was a good way to start the day.
And
Yeah.
and it's really also what's really cool is that we're the first team from Quebec to ever be recognized as an Impact Award final. So it's really amazing for us to see that yes, it's possible, and to show all of the other Quebec teams that maybe one day there'll be a Hall of Fame Quebec team.
It's
That's really a possibility. That's amazing to think about.
So
well,
we're
and
happy.
it's really interesting that you mentioned that, because I was really fortunate. I was a mentor on Team 1114 when they got into the Hall of Fame, and I remember our team always thinking, "Oh, a Canadian team could never get it. It's not possible. It's just this." At that time, it was only American teams, who won that award. We always thought that, and so then it's just interesting now to see how international it's become. After 1114 got in the Hall of Fame, and then 3132 Thunder Down Under, and then 4613 Barker Robotics, and then this year of the finalists, if I recall, we had a Canadian team as a finalist, an Israeli team as a finalist, a Mexican team was a finalist, a Turkish team, a Hawaiian team, and one from the mainland of the US, right?
Yeah, indeed.
Like this is what First is about. It's truly global. And so that is super cool. And I have to say, I was on the TV desk when y'all were announced, and I just did a giant fist pump. It's so cool because now you are the fourth Canadian team to receive this honor. Of course, 1114 in the Hall of Fame, and then 5672 in 2019, and then 6865. And so it's a huge. All of Canada was just so proud in that moment. It was very, very cool to see. So tell us about the moment when you won. You're in the stands, they've announced 5 teams. What was the reaction like?
Oh, well, I was actually doing the alliance selection, so I was in the
Okay.
right by the field. So I was crossing my fingers. I had the big screen on top, and then because the second winner they announced was also from the Galileo field, so I had a little adrenaline rush, but I had to calm myself down a little. And then right to the last moment when they said the team from the Galileo field from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, that was how did you guys feel? Because for me it was
I saw you. He was trying to keep a straight face. He's like, come on, I have to keep a straight face. I'm on the field. I can't be like all like this. And then when we won, I mean, for me personally, I jumped. I was a bit worried. I was like, maybe towards the end, and they were like taking their time as well. So I was like, oh God, please. And then when we won, I jumped from my seat. I started screaming, and I was so happy because I looked at our mentors. I was like, are you gonna announce us or what? And they were like, I don't know, you just have to wait. So yeah.
Yeah. So even like being the last team to be nominated, I think we're all losing like a bit of hope. But just having our name said at the last moment, I think it really it was the accumulating moment of knowing that all our work paid off, that all those hours spent doing the projects and practicing for our presentation, it all paid off.
Yeah. Day and night, a lot of work.
It sure did pay off. And, I can't wait to see what happens next year for your team. And as this journey continues, as you try to spread things around Quebec, across Canada, and across the globe. Hey, before we go, we've asked some of the teams this. What was the best food you had in Houston?
Ooh, that's a great question. I loved the lunch boxes
Oh, yeah.
from all of the regionals that I've ever been to. The lunch boxes at Houston this
Okay.
year was among one of the top.
best. Yes.
Absolutely, the beef jerky. I had one inside the lunchbox with the dessert too. It was top notch, especially in the hot weather. You're sitting outside by the park. We were by the lake. It was an awesome vibe to hang out with the team.
For me personally, my favorite would have to be the shawarma. I'm not biased or anything because I'm Lebanese, so
Yeah.
I liked it over there. So it was definitely the best one.
Was it like authentic shawarma?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good,
I
good. That's
approve.
that's what you need.
I approve of the chicken shawarma. I
You
approve.
approved. You gave the seal of approval right there. All right. Hey, Tech for Kids, thank you so much, not just for being on the show, but for the impact award goes to teams who are role models of the community, and you are a role model for all the teams, not just in Quebec, but in Canada and beyond. So thank you for being role models. Thank you for everything you do. And congratulations again on being World Impact finalists.
Thank
And
you
folks,
so much.
all right, we're going to be back with our next team, 7712, in just a moment. All right, folks. Come on, camera. Don't mess with me right now. Come on. There we go. All right, we're here. All right, folks, our next team, we got a lot of them showing up here. Team 7712 Umoja from Scarborough, Ontario. At first robotics competition, Ontario Provincial Championship Impact Award winners, and just experienced their first time at Worlds. And folks, we have a large group right here. Amelia, Nana, Oliad, Matthew, Dylan, Sammy, Josiah, Louis, Elroy, Noah, Haniel, Janelle, and Aiden. Hey, what's up, team?
Hey!
There we go. That was pretty synchronized right there. That was pretty synchronized. That's pretty good. Pretty good. We got smiles over on here. And so, folks, you all went to Worlds for the first time. So I'd love to hear from some of you on what your Worlds experience was like, and was it everything you expected it to be?
Thanks for having us, Karthik. The world experience was really fun, and it was really nice to see you actually at Houston. We had a lot of fun. Going to World Championship for me was a thrilling experience. And when we reached there, the venue was so big. We didn't expect it. There was lots going on, the Innovation Fair, the Lego League, FTC, the conferences, all going at the same time. So it was very different from provincials. And I personally was one of the people who attended the conferences, and it was really fun and educational. I was actually thrilled to receive a prize from the conferences, which adds to the fun and thrill at Worlds. I never expected to get it. So that was one of the experiences I had. Yeah.
Yeah, adding on to that, it was like it really exceeded my expectation as well. Having the opportunity to network and collaborate with various teams for the upcoming season was also a very interesting experience. I felt like every day was a learning opportunity as well.
And for me, I would say that it was definitely everything and more than I expected, because being my first year here, I realized that we did a big accomplishment, and that I was able to really help my team by being the human player. So actually competing with my teammates and being able to make a difference was really something for me. And as well as seeing all the different countries, I realized the diversity, and what first really does was like amazing to see for me.
Okay, I got a question because you mentioned the conferences. What was the best conference you all saw?
For me, it has to be the Fast Labs, the Rapid Problem Solving Workshop.
Okay. Anyone else got a favorite conference? Like, there's one right answer here, folks.
One right answer.
My conference.
I was about to say that.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Youth council represents someone's, like, got to support your fellow Scarborough mans, folks. Got to give me some love here, right here. No, there's so many amazing conferences. It's fantastic to see all of that. Achilles, you got a question for the team?
Do you guys have a highlight from provincials?
Oh yeah, I can start. Definitely a highlight for me at provincials was a specific a time where I was practicing with a lot of other human players, and I realized that they're just as dedicated as I were. And seeing the dedication from the other human players, talking to them as we practice, it really inspired me. And we really pushed each other to do the best in our games. So every single time that we would have a game ahead, we would be practicing together and pushing each other to do the best and encouraging each other. And yeah, so it was very fun for me.
Do you all have like a human player group chat? Like you should have, you should get that started up, human player group chat, just talking about your ring toss skills or whatever.
I think that would be a great idea, but we did not think of it at the time.
Hey, coming up in our next segment, we got 2056. So Daniel's their human player. He's here right now. So like you all backstage should just be coming up with this group chat there, connecting everyone like that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it was got to happen there. So, we talked a little bit about provincials. What about, and maybe from some of the folks we haven't heard from yet, a highlight from Worlds, something cool that you saw, something that just like is going to stick with you for the rest of your life?
I think I can sort of like my first time being at Worlds, I think I had a lot of like expectations for our team and how we would do. But I think one of the best things that I saw was just the amount of developed teams and how they had these completely unique strategies to solving some of the problems that we were dealing with. We saw teams that sort of coded their own loggers and their own vision systems. We met a team that created the Limelight itself, which we didn't even know was created by a first team. And so like being able to see all these sort of teams and how they've spent years sort of, perfecting their craft was something that was really interesting to see. So I think that's probably my favorite part. Yeah.
Yeah, 987 with the Limelight, who actually was paired up with 2056. That's it is really cool. Anyone else have cool memories from Worlds?
I can go.
Yeah. Go for it.
There were a lot of things. I think like Levi also mentioned it, but I didn't expect it to be as big as it was. We went in for load-in day with me and one of the mentors went in, and we went to like the far side, uh, just to check out like the stands and everything, and I couldn't see the other side, and I was just like, okay, this is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Like even getting off the plane, we saw like posters up and like of like welcoming first teams to Houston. I was like, okay, this is so much bigger than I thought it was gonna be. Um, Another highlight would probably be I met R2D2. That was
Nice.
cool.
That
I
is
thought
dope.
that was that would be it for me.
Yeah, that's a big one there. When the droids come out, like that's a
Crazy.
huge one. You know what I always find weird about Worlds? It's so big that you can text someone and just be like, hey, can you meet me at my pit? Oh, well, yeah, I'll meet you there. I'll be there like because normally when you say meet someone at the pit, like I'll be there in a minute. It takes like 10 minutes to get to the like from one side to the other. It is wild how big it is. Or like when you see load-in, like the lineup for load-in, sometimes it's like 2-3 hours to get loaded in or whatever. So anyone else have other moments from Worlds that stick out to them?
I think for me, it was all the different teams that were there. Like we had one match with a team from the Netherlands, and they ended up winning our field. And then seeing like the Mexican team winning the Spirit Award, it was crazy seeing all the different countries united by First Robotics.
It is so cool just to see, all the countries and as award winners. And then, I don't know if you ever got upstairs to FL and FTC where there's even more countries up there. It's very, very cool. Hey folks, we got a little bit of time here and at the provincial championship, you won the Impact Award. And so I'm wondering if anyone wants to tell us a little bit about your team's efforts to win that award.
Yeah, of course. The whole experience of just winning the Impact Award was surreal. I remember us like waiting, just like the other team who was previously on here said, like we were also last to be announced, and the anticipation and just thinking, oh my goodness, when they read one of the main things that we did, oh my goodness, that's us. And so honestly, I would say the reason why probably the judges picked us is because our team was already created with the intention to already cause that impact. We've always been passionate about bridging the STEM education gap between Black youth and non-Black youth and other marginalized youth. And so through the many initiatives that we did, we sort of accomplished this with our statistics. We got 100% of graduates graduating from high school, which was something we were really big on since we started in 2018. And so just embracing the motto of our team, no child left behind. We did a lot of workshops with senior citizens, with developmental disability classrooms within the Toronto District School Board. And so kind of all of that kind of added to our impact as a whole, and just what we wanted to accomplish as a team from the beginning, like before we even considered applying for this award. And so it was really nice to see that all of that work kind of paid off and we got some recognition for that, which was really, really important to us.
You know, and Amelia, I've said this to you before, but I'll say it to the whole world who's watching. Your team is changing culture, and your team is making. You know, a lot of people when they think of the Impact Award, they think it's the team who does the most, but it's not necessarily the team who does the most. It's the team who has the most outsized impact on community. And you've made changes, and I think it is so cool. And just to have you representing, you know, Ontario and Canada down there, and representing Scarborough, you know, where I'm from, I was just like it was special, and it was just really cool to see. So I've been asking people about their favorite food. I'm going to tell everyone about my favorite meal in Houston, because let me just set the stage here. Saturday morning, I get up at 6 a.m. and I'm on the set, and I am glued to my seat from 6 to 2, and I don't get a chance to have breakfast or lunch or whatever. And then, you know, I start watching Einstein. I haven't eaten or whatever. So I leave the venue and I'm just famished. I am so hungry. And then all the food trucks are gone. I'm like, seriously? The food trucks are gone? I am so hungry. So I'm just like walking back to my hotel. My head's down. I'm all sad. And then you all see me and are like, and then like, you know, the parents and the mentors on your team are like, hey, Karthik, you want to eat? And I was trying to play it cool. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, I was so hungry. And then you fed me this Texas barbecue. I ate it so quickly, and Amelia, you were right there. I almost choked. I ate it so quickly. I was just like scruffing it all down as if someone's going to steal it from me or whatever. So thank you for the best meal that I had down there. Thank you, Moja, for everything y'all do. Hey,
You're
any final words
welcome.
from the team? Any final words? Or not? Amelia, final words.
Final words?
Yeah.
Well, going off of food, Nana, do you want to share a favorite food?
So we did find this spot. It was like a 15-minute walk from the venue, actually.
Yeah.
And we had to go underground, but it was kind of sketchy, not even gonna lie, but we got some loaded mac and cheese fries.
Nice. Oh,
With chicken on top.
With chicken
Oh
on
my God,
top.
the chicken was so
it was
good.
so good.
that
It was
sounds
so
good.
good.
The food down there is so good. So
Yes.
many good meals. All right. 7712, Umoja, thank you for being here. Thank you for representing Canada at the World Championship. And hey, thank you for changing culture, making our world a better place. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see what you all accomplish next year. Scarborough. All right, folks, we will be back with our next team, 2056, in just a moment. All right, folks, we are back now, introducing none other than Team 2056 OP Robotics from Stony Creek, Ontario, Ontario provincial champions, Galileo winners, and making their 7th appearance on Einstein, baby. We got Daniel, we got Balraj, we got Maple, we got Cheyenne. How's it going, everyone?
Very good.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel, you got to set up that group chat for the human players now, you know? Like, as the human player who had maybe the highest percentage of rings made, I think it was like you were the Swamp Thing human player. Is that what we came down to?
No, it was me and the spam human player.
Spam, I knew it was Florida.
180.
Yeah, I was off by 180. Okay.
I don't know, Karthik. I was a really good human player too. You know,
Yeah, you put the notes on the floor really well, Balraj. Good on you, man. Good on you.
Karthik, should me and Bars switch for a match IRI?
Absolutely. Is it a match that doesn't count in the standings? You know, or yeah.
There's no match at IRI where the standings.
Okay, so here's a question for you all. Then here's a question to start. Yeah, I have the normal questions, but like, did you have like human player like tryouts? How did this happen? How did you end up with this job, Daniel?
I just do a lot, and then it just worked out that I was tall, and it helped throw high notes, and I practiced a lot.
How much did you practice? How many tosses a day?
About 200 a day.
200 a day. That is wild. Balraj, how many notes did you put on the floor a day?
A few.
Okay. All right.
I don't know, like a lot. At least 50, 100. And the thing is, the source and the carpet were different at the event, so it was a little weird.
It's a little bit weird. It was probably a little bit easier the source this year than last year, whatever it was called.
Yeah, like
the shoe.
our notes when they got worn was events most of the time they were still very slick.
Yeah. All right, folks. So you were at Worlds. Tell us what your Worlds experience was like. What was that? Everything you expected it?
Who wants to go first?
Cheyenne's gonna go first.
Sure. For me, it was nothing like I expected. It was my first time going to Houston and my third time on the team, so I was hear from others, and I was like expecting, like I had an expectation, but it was completely different once you get there, and especially working with strategy, it was sometimes chaotic, sometimes it was handled, but it was really, really unique.
What about others? What else?
For me, it was my third time at Champs in Houston. This year was much better though, in my opinion. We were on the Galileo field, so we had the extra large stands. So the atmosphere was just a lot better.
Stands get a little bit tight, right? It's because there's so many teams and everyone wants to watch every match and the such. So it's
Yeah, I had a different perspective because I was on the field this year.
Right. Was your first year on the drive team?
Yeah, I was strategy last year.
Okay, nice. Achilles, you got a question for our friends from OP?
I do. Do you guys have a highlight from provincials?
For me, on the field, the robot competition was obviously very intense. But for me personally, walking around through the pits and talking to other teams, getting to know them and forming new connections was a really valuable experience. Because after knowing more about the robot on the inside, watching them play on the field, like it's a different perspective from talking to them. I also participated in being a student ambassador. So I was able to tour a bunch of sponsorships around the field, and it actually got me learning more about the other aspects of FIRST, like FLL or FTC, and other trade jobs, other jobs that FIRST can get you in through Steam.
Very cool, Maple. Anyone else have highlights from provincials?
My highlight had to be the high score match with Dave. I remember in the match, I saw the score just going up and up and up. And on the field, when the scores were posted, I was standing next to our technician, Steven. And when we saw it was a high score, I gave him a huge high five.
Yeah. What was that score again? It was 150.
155 and 150 clean.
So what was wild is the amount of times that score got beaten at Worlds, which is, because like, remember, we all saw that match and it was like, this is the craziest thing. And then, because that was you, Dave, in 2702, right?
Yeah.
And
even that DCMP weekend at other district championships, it was being beaten like every hour.
Georgia beat it a couple times. And then over in California, it wasn't a district championships, but at the East Bay event, it got beaten. But then like, now if you look at that high score list, like there was so many, like there was like, the Citrus Alliance hit that number a bunch of times. Obviously, well, who else hit it? The 1114 Alliance hit it a few times. You hit it once, right?
We had a high score on Galileo of 169.
Yeah. So it's just the scores were massive. It was cool seeing all of that. And so now we're at the World Championship. Does anyone have any highlights that they want to talk about? Obviously, you're on Einstein, you win your division. But what other things that's really stand out to you or specific moments?
Wasn't really like on the field during the competition, but
yeah.
The night during loaded, we had dinner with the team 1678, like our team, which was really fun.
Nice. What'd you have for dinner?
It was sandwiches.
Nice.
I know you like to talk about food.
I love no, just like Houston food specifically. There was so much good stuff there. There's so much good food. What else? Other Worlds highlights, folks?
The atmosphere on Einstein was amazing. Even though we didn't win any matches, it was still just so awesome to be on the field. And the intros with our whole alliance and everything, that was great. I still think Ontario Provincial Championship intros were better. Walking in with the live band.
The live band was pretty cool. Yeah, and we gave you popcorn. That's
and
that's
soda.
key. And soda right
And
there.
soda.
That's key. That's key. We had the sparkling water there for sparkling H2O, so we got to set up like that. Folks, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about your robot, which is, just a fantastic machine. It was incredibly successful, but for our audience, do you have any design tips for teams looking to take their robot to the next level? Because 2056, like a lot of people will look at your robot and be like, oh, that's so complicated. But your robots aren't complicated. They're actually like very elegant. And so how do you get to that point?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things for building simpler is eliminate tasks to accomplish. Um, like for us, we did our strategic design and felt that for the, added complexity of the trap, where we had to build the entire robot around it, we took the risk and said, there's still many other ways to get the hang RP. It's less reliable to get it without the trap, but there was still many other ways to get it, and we felt at a champs level there would be a lot of teams that could hang, and in the playoffs it was just too little point value for it to be worth it for how long it can take to trap. So we did that strategic design and found, whereas for the trap you have to have, literally order of magnitude more mechanisms to accomplish it versus our robot, where there's a single degree of freedom, a single pivot with a bunch of rollers, like a pretty simple shooter, just this was just available information that a lot of open alliance teams worked on. I think ours was based off 6328. And then the like in terms of like stuff to do, I think it's like you said in your presentation, you'd rather have a robot do three things at 10 out of 10. So like building simple and finishing quickly is really useful too. If you finish quickly, you can tune right autos like practice, right? Like if you get good at driving your robot, that is huge. So finishing quickly, um ask other teams. Like, we have our conference. A lot of teams are open alliance. There's Canadian teams that are on the open alliance. Like, look at Chief Delphi, look at these resources that are available. Like, we'll be actually holding our conference this year, probably in the fall. And reliability. Like, the one of the biggest successes is, obviously build simple, eliminate the tasks. But if you are reliable, like you could be the best robot in the world, and if you fail when it matters most, that could cost you. That could be the end of your season.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, Balraj, and I think you hit on the big points about, the importance of staying simple and those factors in there. And also, I think part of the 2056 success story this year and many years is that you come out of the box ready. And I think part of that is because your robots are simpler, so you've had more time to practice and to program, and potentially more time for things to break that you then fix. So the failures aren't seen at competition. The failures might be happening behind the scenes and the such. So it's really kind of cool that way. And also you are iterating from a higher point of view where teams are just like catching up. The teams who were like using the first event to figure things out. So it's
Yeah.
just really cool. Your robots
Like-
inspire every year. Okay, quickly, folks, because we are running out of time here. Anyone want to say a favorite food that they had in Houston?
For me, it would be brisket, of course.
Oh, brisket's good.
Classic.
Brisket's some good stuff right there. What about you, Maple? Have anything really good?
I wasn't there this year, but last
okay.
year I had some crawfish, and it's
Love
insane in
crawfish.
Texas.
Oh my goodness, crawfish when you just suck the juices. That's so good.
Yeah.
Daniel?
Well, we were at the University of Houston, so we had access to their buffet. The pasta there, the line was not great, but the food was great.
That is pretty good. And Balraj?
I don't think I have any food that was exceptional that I had at Houston.
The taco truck right outside the venue, that was a pretty good one. Really good tacos right there. All right, folks, thank you, Team 2056. Congratulations on another trip to Einstein. So proud of y'all for being there. It's very, very cool seeing you represent Canada continually and just being role models for our entire community. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for inspiring. And hey, folks, we'll be back in just a moment with our final team, Team 9098. All right, folks, we are back, and now we're going to welcome our final team on the show, Team 9098, the Firehawks from Oakville, Ontario, #1 seed at the provincial championship. They were one of only 2 tank drive robots to make the playoffs at Worlds, 2 of 256. Hey, they're always good to be unique. And it was their first time at Worlds. So we've got Caitlin, Mara, and Jamil. Is it Jamil or Jamil?
Jamil.
Jamil. All right. Thank you, folks, for being here, Firehawks. And we want to know, this is your first time at Worlds, first time ever in the history of your team. What was the experience like?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We're so happy to be here. Honestly, I think Worlds is just insane for everyone. Like for me, going into provincials, I thought that was a massive venue. There was so many teams there, and then we get to Worlds, and it's just like 6 times as many teams, just an insane large venue. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think I can speak on behalf of all of our team members when saying it was everything we expected and way more. It was just an incredible experience that I know all of our team members will remember for a long time going forwards.
Yeah, we also like enjoyed seeing other teams, like how they approached this season and like how they got their ideas, how they like fixed their problems, and just like learning from them for next year.
That's one of the coolest things about Worlds, because like it's this competition. You're trying to win as many matches, and you're trying to be the world champion. But there's only so many teams who can win awards and be the world champions. But like there's so much to be said about the networking that happens at Worlds as you talk to folks and you learn. So tell me things that you learned at Worlds.
I can start off.
Yeah,
So
go for it.
something that I learned was when participating in a girls get together conference, I talked to a mentor and alumni who's been with the program for over 25 years out of New Jersey. And she told me a lot about how her team runs things like pick lists, scouting, what they do for different aspects of their team. And I find that really useful in reflecting on what we do as a team, because there's always more to learn and we are only in our second year. So any advice or help we can get is much appreciated. And I think it will be really useful in applying that to next year and all the years going forwards.
What are Caitlin and Jamil, other things that you might have learned?
Yeah, so I'm on the strategy team, and one of the things that I learned was just doing match strat with some of the like really big teams that you watch on TV, you watch their behind the bumpers, and just seeing how they approach a match and the things that they focus on and prioritize before a match, the things they talk about, and just how they communicate within their team and other teams. I definitely learned a lot from that.
Yeah, like they said, like us learning from other teams and like how they run things, like will help us later on, and just kind of seeing like how each team approaches like running their team differently and like what they do best, and like kind of just taking that and like making it like our own and just learning from it is like, yeah, it was like really good.
Yeah, you see so much, and it's interesting because like every region has its own tendencies and its own sort of culture, and then you realize like, oh, things are done very differently over here or whatever. And like it can be from like little things to like how they do battery changes, to like bigger things and how they look at strategy and such. So that was really neat. I have a neat picture on my phone that I took. It was you all doing strategy with a Turkish team and a Mexican team, and it was just like this very international alliance. And I just remember that one being really cool. But Achilles, you got a question for 9098?
Yes. You guys also have a highlight from provincials.
My highlight for provincials was like definitely going first, because it was very unexpected, and like we were just very excited. It's like the first time the team like was in that position, and we were just very excited, and like it wasn't expected. The whole team was excited, and we were just kind of like happy with the result.
Yeah, well, besides the competition, that was obviously amazing. I found the alumni social to be really awesome, because I feel like even last season and even our earlier events this year, we're just trying to get our feet on the ground and understand, like wrap our heads around the competition. But by provincials, I felt a lot more comfortable with what was actually going on, and I was able to kind of branch out and start meeting other people, and start building that first community that I'm definitely going to keep in touch with all those connections going forward.
Yeah, similarly to Caitlin, I'm also becoming an alumni this year, so I really enjoyed the alumni social, and specifically the keynote speaker who talked about her experiences in law school, and it made me feel really confident that this experience is really universal, and it will help me going forwards in the future no matter what I do.
I'm going to text that keynote speaker right after, because she'll be thrilled to hear that. Yeah, you thought that was great, because it's cool just to. The coolest thing about being a first alumni is that a first alum rather is that you're part of something bigger, which is really neat. And you when you realize like, oh my goodness, there's so many people who've gone through the same things I have, but like are like lawyers or doctors or entrepreneurs and everything. So that's really cool. Have you all signed up for like the alumni mailing list and the LinkedIn group and everything like that? There we go. That's what we like to hear. So then we're in Houston now. It's Worlds. Highlights from that experience.
I would say definitely like match strategy. I mean, like strategy team, that's where I spend most of my time. I don't think I was even like barely able to go upstairs and explore, but just the match strategy was enough. And meeting people from all around the world, like you said, that match, that like international alliance, that was really
Yeah.
awesome. And then again, just learning from all the big teams. I just feel like we learned so much, like everyone on our team, regardless of what you were doing for those few days. We definitely all learned so much.
And I mean, like, especially in your division where you've got teams like 254 and 1323 and 2910 who just run these like amazing operations. And we have some operations like that up here as well. But it's just that one's neat to see. Also, did you come to my strategy presentation? Like,
Oh, we did. Of
okay,
course.
okay.
You
There we
saw
go.
us there.
I saw, well, I just want to, just like,
Couldn't miss
there's
it.
a lot of people on the team. I saw the colors, I saw the red hats and everything like that. So I just gotta throw that in there. It was really cool. Jamil, you got a highlight from Worlds?
Yeah, I was definitely like watching the matches and like especially watching the finals at Einstein. It was really exciting to see like all the teams cheering and like being happy, just happy to be there, even if they're not at Einstein, just cheering and being excited about robotics. And for me also it's like being on the draft team and being like on the field with like all the people looking at you watching the match. That was also really exciting. And I was a bit nervous down there the first match. You got all these people watching you, but yeah, really exciting after that.
It was a cool run there. Hey folks, I want to ask you a question though, because you've been doing this for 2 years. You qualified for Worlds, both years, clean on points. You were known for simple yet effective robots. I don't know if you would have caught any of this, but on the live stream, I just kept calling you like the little tank robot that could, because like remember like you pulled off your first match, you beat 254. And granted, they had, a cable pop out or whatever, but then you tied 1323 later on. And you're just like, you build these simple, effective robots. How have you managed to make this strategy so successful? Maybe that's for you, Caitlin, as leader in the strategy group.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things that contribute to this. One of them, I think we really approach the game from an alliance perspective. So we really just think about how we can contribute to those RP. Like, how do you move up in qualification matches? You get as many RP as possible. So definitely that, and then also just trying to be compatible with as many teams as possible. So I think a lot of that is through our auto routines. We definitely prioritize having like the non-optimal auto routines. Like last year, we had a pretty reliable one on the bump side, which was nice. This year, we actually built our autos in like different segments, so we could essentially build an auto on the spot to just complement whoever we were partnered with. And then yeah, just always focusing on the RP, even if you're not going to win a match. Which I think that's definitely helped.
And to expand on what Caitlin said, I think also throughout our design process, we really focused on working within our limits. So we are on tank, and something we noticed last year was that turnaround really extends cycle times by a few seconds. So something we changed this year was having the intake on one side and the shooter on the other to really maximize what you can do on a tank robot.
And on the strategy side of that, also like when the feeding strategy came into play a lot near the end of the season, that definitely helped us with basically just being able to do linear cycles like from the source to the starting line. That definitely helped us be more efficient and actually be able to execute that strategy successfully.
Your feeding was just wild because it was straight lines, just straight lines. And who it looked the most like was 2910. Now 2910 was faster. They're feeding the one match where they fed like 30 discs or 30 notes. I was just like, oh my goodness, my head's gonna explode here. But it's like you just hit these straight lines so well. And I was just like, it was like literally like our set was like right. It's as if you were driving right at the set. It was just like back and forth. It was so cool to see. 1998, thank you so much for being here. And also thank you for being role models in this community. Your team just comes at things with so much gracious professionalism. It was so cool running into you repeatedly, at the event and just like the positive energy. And I'm glad you had a great Worlds experience. Hey, gotta ask though, favorite food that you had at Worlds?
For me, it's not necessarily favorite food, but I tried a Chipotle honey barbecue sauce, which was
Okay.
amazing and I've not had before.
That sounds good.
I had a couple Tex-Mex bowls, which were really good. I enjoyed those.
Did you get the bowl from the food truck right outside? The rice bowl?
No, we actually pre-ordered our lunch.
Oh, okay, because yeah, the rice bowl from that food truck was so good. Oh my goodness. Jamil?
I didn't really have a favorite food because like I have an allergy, so I couldn't eat it at restaurants. It was mostly like, sandwiches and stuff. So, yeah, so I don't have a favorite
All right.
food.
All right. Well, we got to get you one. We got to get you an allergy safe meal next time. We got to make sure you're set up there. Hey, 9098, thank you for being here. Thanks for everything that you do.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very much
having
for
us.
having
Of
us.
course, of course, of course. All right, Achilles, that brings us towards the end of the show and the end of this season of First Canada Live. But also, folks, I would be remiss if to say, we've been doing this show for 5 seasons now, and for 4 seasons, we've had an amazing lead producer, Sarah Sills, who is stepping back a little bit from First, and so this will be her last episode as the lead producer. So I was wondering if Sarah, she doesn't know I'm doing this, but we're just doing it. We're just doing it. If you would love to turn your camera on right now, so we could say thank you. Hello, Sarah.
Huh. I don't usually have my camera on during this show.
No, this is just a little audible that's been called by some folks, and we just want to say thank you for everything you've done for the show for the last 4 seasons. For those who are watching at home, this show doesn't happen without Sarah. Sarah's the one behind the scenes who was planning everything out, contacting all the guests, putting in our sponsor videos, laying it all together and making a cohesive plan. And that has trained so many other producers, like Achilles, you're one of the people who's been trained as a producer by Sarah. And this is not goodbye by any means. You're always welcome on the show or behind the scenes or anything like that. But we want to say thank you for helping brighten the lives of our community. And that was the whole goal of the show. We do this show to, provide energy and a sense of community. But for you to be the leader of that, just want to say thank you, Sarah.
Well, thank you. And I would just say to anyone who, gets an opportunity to step outside your comfort zone, do it. Because when this started, it was like, wow, so super technical. I'm not sure, but yeah, I learned so much and it was super fun. And I got to work backstage with so many people and I really enjoyed it. So,
and Sarah, you might have noticed that some of those folks are backstage right now, and we'll be chatting with all of them in a little bit. But folks, that is a wrap for season 5 of First Canada Live. Achilles, thank you so much for co-hosting. For everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much. It's been a great season, and we can't wait for even better season next year. More new fun things. We'll be doing it all. Folks, if you are a graduating senior, make sure you sign up for all the alumni sorts of things so you can stay involved. First doesn't end when high school ends, and First will always be here for you. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for making this show a success. It has been a blast, and we will see you in the fall for season 6. Good night, everyone.